What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 92 of the Access to Combat podcast. I'm one half of your host, Hugo the Boss. Hugo got next, joined by my co-host.
It's your boy Ray Boogie Kahuna. And on today's episode, we're going to be breaking down UFC London, Edwards versus Brady. And on the boxing side, we got a couple fights we're going to highlight, including a Fundora fight, a Kambosos fight, and maybe a Sky Nicholson co-headliner. But before we get into any of that, my brother, tell them what the deal is.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast right now, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know.
First fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have the Georgian Viking Guram Kutateladze going one-on-one with Fernandes. Kutateladze is 13-4 overall. Fighting out of Sweden, but repping Georgia, 33 years old. Fernandes is 9-2 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 30 years old. If this is the currently scheduled bout order, absolute banger to kick off the card.
Absolutely.
We got two strikers here. Kutateladze, you know him, you love him. He's Georgian, so he's already got +5 durability. Or no, I usually reserve that for the Ukrainians, right?
You reserve it for a couple of races, but
Well, he's Georgian, so +5 durability.
Couple of nationalities you reserve it for.
Good striker. Okay. He's a good striker, but I wouldn't say he's the most technical. He kind of just walks you down, high pressure, hits hard, throws crazy leg kicks. And since he's Georgian, not that he trains with Marab or anything, but he's got a little bit of wrestling in his back pocket. You know what I'm saying? He's going one-on-one here with the Brazilian phenom. I'm not sure if he's a phenom or not, but we got Fernandes. Debuted not too long ago in the UFC. Kind of had a bit of a run in his first fight, but his second fight, a bit of a rebound. And he's a good striker. He's probably the more technical of the two strikers here. He's going to look prettier on the feet, 100%. Also hits pretty hard. Also has some hidden grappling. I mean, he's more, he's Brazilian, so he's got the jiu-jitsu, in the back pocket, and doesn't really go to it too often, but outside of the UFC, I did see him use his grappling effectively. I'm going to be leaning the Georgian Viking here, only because of two words: Georgian wrestling. I think on the feet, it's a 50-50 fight. I can see a finish 100%. One of these guys is going to get clapped up on the feet. I can see a decent amount of scrambling here as well, but give me the Georgian Viking here. Literally just because of the wrestling edge, but it's going to be close. It's going to be sweaty. It's going to be exciting, and I don't think it goes the distance.
Yeah, I'm with you here on the lean. I don't agree with the line. They got Guram listed at a -425. Fernandes at a comeback at +340.
That's a bit wide.
What world?
Yeah.
What world? I'm sorry, I'm not there. I understand the Georgian wrestling. He does have it. I think he is the better wrestler of this contest. The thing is, unlike Casey, I don't trust Guram to hold Fernandes down for multiple minutes of this fight. Fernandes was actually almost beating Casey in some of the scrambles, but Casey is a good wrestler and has it in his back pocket. Guram, I don't think is a better wrestler than Casey, and he's not a guy that's going to hold position like Casey. He's going to try to get up to land damage. He's going to probably want to keep this fight standing as well for the most part. Fernandes is going to have his opportunities. He was able to get a omoplata on Casey to get back up to his feet. Was also the better striker in that fight, which is why Casey had to take him down. Fernandes never out of position, never out of balance. I think for this fight, it's probably going to be 80% on the feet, maybe 20% on the floor, unless Guram really pushes a wrestling heavy pace, which we haven't seen him do it yet. So for me, this is dog or pass. And I think Fernandes at +340 is insane. If he was like a 2-1 dog, sure. 340, what world? That means you expect Guram to steamroll him, which I don't think that's going to be the case. Guram is the lean, but give me Fernandes as a possible dog play for this card.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have the Black Country banger. Herbert going one-on-one with Padilla. Herbert, 13-5-1. Fighting out of England, hailing from England, 36 years old. Padilla is 15-6 overall. Fighting out of Gardena, California, 29 years old. Mid-level fight on paper, but this is a fight where I kind of have a hard time picking a side, because I do think Herbert is solid, but he is older. I do think Herbert is a little overrated. He hasn't really beat anybody notable, in my opinion, but he's, put up decent fights against the guys he's lost to. Padilla on the other side, I don't like to call people journeymen. It's a little disrespectful, but I mean, it is what it is. His bread and butter is the grappling. On paper, Padilla has the advantage here. I think Herbert's probably the better overall fighter, so I'm going to be slightly leaning Herbert for the win here. But my gut tells me Padilla is going to beat him by knockout for some reason. I don't know what it is. I like both of these guys' nicknames. Just wanted to throw that in there. But give me Jai Herbert. Minimum confidence.
Yeah, this fight is rightfully lined as a pick'em. This is a very tough fight. One of the tougher fights in the card to call, in my opinion. Just to add on to what my brother said, Chris Padilla is a tapeworm. Like, he watches a ton of tape. He was able to study a lot of the patterns of Rongzu, which is why he was able to effectively land that elbow to stop the fight. Rongzu was better than him on the feet, but he was able to find a hole in his offense to land his own offense. He also had the grappling upside in that fight, didn't need to go to it, which is crazy. Jai Herbert, he's kind of going to have the same thing, but his wrestling is not great. I like his cage pushing, his ability to win minutes, but I do think Jai Herbert's the better striker. I think Jai Herbert hits harder. I think Jai likes to fight more at range and kicking range, unlike Rongzu. Rongzu likes to fight more in boxing range. This is going to be a tougher puzzle for Padilla to solve. Plus, I don't think Jai is a bad grappler. He's not horrible. I mean, and he's not great, but he's somewhere in between all of that. I think he's okay.
He's sufficient.
Yeah, that's the best way. That's the best way to describe him. Yeah, I'm leaning Jai Herbert here because I think he just has the better skills, but that's with minimal confidence. I feel like Padilla can definitely steal this fight, and unfortunately, he's not a big enough dog money to make a dog play. So for me, this fight might be a big stairway just because there's a ton of variables, but Jai Herbert's the lean, minimal confidence.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have Loughran Kavanagh going one-on-one with Felipe dos Santos, aka Lipe de Tona. Kavanagh is perfect. 8-0, fighting out of London, repping China. 25 years old. Dos Santos is 8-2 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 24 years old. Exciting fight with two, quote-unquote prospects. I mean, they are prospects. They're both they're 25 and under. Felipe debuted against Manel Kopp. Decent showing, but, Manel Kopp had to show him that there's levels at the end of the day, right? I think he beat Altamirano by split and then lost his last fight. I don't recall who that was.
Andrey Lima, another prospect.
Yes. I think Santos is good. I think he's got good striking. I think he's got good grappling. I think he does play off his back a little too much, and I think that's probably going to be his downfall here in this contest in particular. Kavanagh, excellent striker, very patient, very clean, very polished, hits hard, power in both hands, decent grappler. I know some of these guys that come out of Cage Warriors, they tend to be a little like on the overrated side. Not in Kavanagh's case, in my opinion. I do think Kavanagh probably wins this. I do think this fight probably goes the distance. Give me Kavanagh here. I think he's gonna land the harder strikes. I think he's gonna be able to use at least his grappling defensively, maybe even offensively here. Give me Kavanagh by decision.
I'm there too, just for that simple fact that Dos Santos likes to play off his back a little too much. He should have the wrestling upside in this fight, but the thing is that Loughran, I think he's going to be expecting that. He doesn't rub me as a low IQ fighter, even though he's so young. And even though I know he's 8-0, but I thought that Jose Ochoa fight that he had last time was a lot closer than a unanimous decision. I actually thought Ochoa, if I remember it correctly, had big moments and actually took arguably 2 rounds off of him. You could argue Jose won that fight. I don't know if he's going to cover this line because at minus 300, it implies he's going to finish Dos Santos. I don't think he's going to audit him either. I think Dos Santos is going to have his moments in this fight. Was a big dog against Kopp and had his moments in that fight, and Kopp is a much more superior fighter than Loughran Kavanagh. There's a big step down in competition because I even think Andrey Lima is a bigger step up than Loughran Kavanagh for Dos Santos. Dos Santos, I feel like we almost kind of know what he is. All credit to him. He takes a whole bunch of tough fights. He does not take easy fights at this level.
No, he has not taken an easy fight yet.
He has the way better resume, the way better strength for competition, but I think Loughran Kavanagh's got the goods. He's very good from the outside. He can wrestle. He's not better than Dos Santos as a wrestler, but I will say that Loughran is very good defensively on the defensive wrestling end. So with that said, I think Loughran Kavanagh gets this done via decision as well.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have the Don, Kaolán Loughran, going one-on-one with Nathan Fletcher. Kaolán, 9-2 overall, fighting out of Ireland, hailing from Ireland, 28 years old. Fletcher, 9-1 overall, fighting out of England, hailing from England, 27 years old. This is a bit of a run back. I'm not sure. I think it was an amateur fight, so it doesn't really technically count as a 2, but this is the second time these guys, face off. Fletcher won that first, head-to-head. Since then, Kaolán was the one that got called up to the UFC first. Fletcher kind of found his way through the Ultimate Fighter.
Got exposed there a little bit.
Got exposed just a bit. I mean, losing to Con Offley
hasn't aged well, buddy.
has not aged well. Kaolán, since he's been in the UFC, also another one, you know, with not the easiest matchups, in my opinion. I am going to favor Kaolán here for the win. I do think that Kaolán is going to be able to at least match Fletcher's wrestling here. I do think since they first met, he has become a better striker. Where on the Fletcher side, I don't think he's as developed as he should be. I still think he kind of lacks in the striking department, in my opinion. Give me Kaolán here for the win. I'm going to say by decision.
Yeah, for me, I'm with you there as well at the dog play. I'm honestly surprised that Loughran is the dog here. He took on Tybura on short notice, had a decent showing, not his best performance, but it was also short notice against a guy who's extremely safe, who is now also cut from the UFC because he's very risk averse. Beat the brakes off of Angel Pacheco. Lost to Hadley. Hadley also not in the UFC, but that's also because Hadley likes to play off his back and was on a crazy losing streak. Hadley is a big puncher though, and has a very good grappling game. So even though they're not both in the UFC anymore, they're both high level competition that are going to pretty much flush everyone out on the regional scene. Loughran, if you look at their first matchup, Loughran's body wasn't what it is now. Loughran definitely built his body, definitely got a crazy strength and conditioning program. Loughran's a much better wrestler than Nathan Fletcher, at least at this point in their careers. And then Nathan Fletcher, of course, he's not going to have good fucking striking because he's working with Paddy fucking Pimblett, who also doesn't have great fucking striking. So it's not eye-opening that Nathan Fletcher is limited, because he's working with Paddy Pimblett, who I believe is also limited. This is an easy dog play. I think Loughran either late third round or decision. I think that's how he's going to win this fight, but I'm going to go Loughran by decision here.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Tybura. Marcin Tybura going one-on-one with Mick Parkin. Tybura, 26-9. Fighting out of Poland, hailing from Poland, 39 years old. Parkin, perfect. 10-0. Fighting out of England, hailing from England, 29 years old. Interesting heavyweight matchup we have here. I think this is a decent step up here from Mick Parkin. Parkin, since he's been here, hasn't looked overly impressive, but hasn't looked overly terrible either. Training partner of Aspinall, who's already faced Tybura. I do worry that Parkin doesn't have like that deft touch. Gut feeling this fight probably goes beyond like 1.5 if they end up setting it there. It might even go to distance. Parkin's also got decent wrestling. The takedown defense is probably going to be tested here by Tybura. Tybura's a good, solid overall vet here. Will go to the wrestling, will test your wrestling. I'm kind of tempted to take Tybura here, but I got a strange feeling. I think Mick Parkin, just being the younger guy, having Aspinall in his corner, having probably more decent volume, is probably just going to edge this one. Give me Parkin by decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Tybura's got the better skills, man, and I think he has more of the finishing upside, but for some reason, I just feel like Mick Parkin's going to snooze this one all the way through to a decision. But that's what he does, even though he doesn't have the better brand of competition. His last three fights were Chal Machado, Muhammad Usman, and Lucas Bresky, and they're all ass, to be frank with you. So this is a big step up in competition, but there's a fight that I feel like he can navigate a lot of Tybura's wrestling attacks as well as his striking attacks. The wrestling in particular is going to be easy because I think Mick is the better offensive wrestler and defensive wrestler, but the striking, I feel like with the Aspinall backing, he's going to understand what Tybura is good at, even though Aspinall got rid of him in like 2 seconds. He's had training camps with Aspinall working against Tybura, so he has familiarity. I feel like Mick Parkin is going to snooze this all the way through to a decision. Give me Mick Parkin, the most boring heavyweight in the division, to give me a decision for this fight.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have the debuting Andrey Pulyaev going one-on-one with CLD Christian Leroy Duncan. Pulyaev, 9-2 overall, fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 27 years old. Christian Duncan, 10-2 overall, fighting out of England, hailing from England, 29 years old. A bit of a mirror match, in my opinion. Pulyaev debuting, in my opinion, didn't look that impressive in his Contender Series fight. He's got decent striking. He looked a little uncomfortable in the Contender Series, but the one thing he does have is power, exotic leg kicks, decent 1-2, and everything just hits hard. Apparently he's got some wrestling as well. Didn't really get to see that too much in his Contender Series, but it's something he might be able to use here against CLD. That being said, I am leaning Christian Leroy Duncan for the win here. I just think he's just a better version of Pulyaev. Also, you know, got more UFC experience. He went through hell and high water in his last fight against Hobocop. The only thing I question about CLD sometimes is a bit of the decision making and a little bit of the you know, a little hesitant to really like let go of his offense, but I just think he's the better fighter here. So, and I know that's a bit of a cop out in terms of a breakdown, but like I said, it's a bit of a mirror match, and I think these guys are pretty identical in terms of their skill sets. Maybe the slight edge in Pulyaev for the wrestling, but hasn't been seen yet. Give me Duncan here. Maybe late round stoppage, but I'm leaning decision. Nah, you know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go second round, third round finish. Because these guys do hit hard.
Yeah, I'm with you on the lean, but man, the line doesn't make any sense. They got Duncan at a -550 and Pulyaev at a +410.
No, that's way too high.
And Duncan, don't get me wrong, Duncan can wrestle too. Duncan, even when he's offensively wrestled, especially before UFC, he was able to scramble back up to his feet. He's very good at getting up. And I feel like that's why he's probably the favorite here. But I just don't agree with the line. I think the line's out of control for a guy who has not been overly impressive coming into the UFC and CLD. I expected a lot of big things from him coming in. Drops the decision to Armin Petrosian because he was showboating. Dispatches Atul Willen, and that's after he took him down, if I'm correct. Claudio Ribeiro, that guy is a little bit of a fraud, keeping it 100.
Bit overrated.
Gregory Rodriguez is a monster, so can't really fault him there. Gregory, if he's just a guy you have to land on first before he starts getting downhill on you.
Had a good showing, but again,
didn't happen. Yeah.
Wrestling took over in that one.
And the chin held up. He's got a great chin. I just feel like this line is out of control. For me, the lean is definitely CLD, but not at this line. We'll figure out how we're going to bet it closest to the fight. It might even be a dog play, but give me CLD as the lean here.
Next fight on the card at women's strawweight, we have Mama B, Shauna Bannon, going one-on-one with the Cyclone, Puja Tomar. Bannon, 6-1 overall, fighting out of Ireland, hailing from Ireland, 31 years old. Tomar, 9-4 overall, fighting out of India, hailing from India, 31 years old. So right now, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna put a pause to the podcast right here. We're gonna stop the presses. We have officially reached the pinnacle of MMA fighting. This might be the greatest matchup on paper. And when I say the greatest, this shit is ass. I'm gonna say it as nicely as I can.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I'm not gonna say it. That said it all. I'm gonna be leaning Mama B here. It's because I think she can accidentally fall into a submission here. If this is on the feet, Tomar, to all her credit, I mean, listen, she's an expert in wushu. That's a Chinese mixed martial art. Not sure how effective it is at the highest of the UFC level. Wushu, ladies and gentlemen. She's got decent kicks, and she's got a bit of a dog in her. She's got a bit of a chin. You're gonna have to really put it on her to get her out of there. Her kryptonite, her only weakness, because I don't think they really trained this in wushu, is the takedown. If she can get a takedown here, Mama B can be Big Daddy B and get the dub. Give me Mama B here to accidentally fall into a submission. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, Shauna.
Horrible fighter.
And Puja.
Horrible fighter.
I feel like this is a dog or pass spot. That's how bad these two women are. I'm not very high on Shauna Bannon. I don't think she's very good. Puja cannot defend the grappling. She represents that Middle Eastern, Indian / portion of the world that's still relatively novice in MMA.
Yes.
Especially in the grappling level.
They're a bit fresh.
Their striking is pretty good. Puja surprised me her last fight with the win. I did not think she was going to win. I thought the line was disrespectful. My brother was all over it. I think he actually played her. This is a fight that you should probably stay away from. And if you do decide to play it, get some help. Just get some help, because I just feel like this is a bad fight. I hope it gets moved down early on the card. The fact that you have Kutateladze supposedly opening up this card before these young ladies, I'm pretty sure it's gonna get moved. So we're just going by Tapology order for now. But if you want the real, this is a fight I don't even want to give too much credence to. You shouldn't be betting this fight. Give me Shauna just for a lean, but man, I wouldn't be surprised if Puja pulls this off. So. We're good. We're done here. We're done. We could just move on to the next fight.
The next fight on the card at women's strawweight, we have Meatball, Molly McCann, Triple M, going one-on-one with the debuting. I can't say her nickname, but I looked it up. It means little bourgeoisie or little middle class. Alexia Thayanara.
Much better women's fight, by the way.
Compared to the last one, yes. McCann, 14-7 overall, fighting out of England, hailing from England, 34 years old. Thayanara is 11-1 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 27 years old. Not Molly McCann's original opponent. That was supposed to be Estela Nunes. That fight, that original fight, I was kind of going back and forth on, because I do think Estela Nunes did have the striking to give, Molly McCann some issues. But again, Molly, since moving down to 115, has looked a little better. Also been implementing some wrestling into her game. So I still probably would have leaned her there. But, at the money that they were giving Estela Nunes, I definitely would have considered taking a bite there. But now she's fighting a debuting Alexa Thayanara. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but she fights out of the Rebus camp. Exciting fighter.
Fucking savage.
a bit of a savage.
Yeah.
When it comes to the stand-up for both these women, I will give the slight edge to McCann. She is slightly cleaner. Not as clean as I remember, but she will, you know, get from point A to point B probably a little cleaner than Alexia. Sorry, I don't want to disrespect. They both hit hard. Alexia, not afraid to mix it up. She'll go to the head, she'll go to the body, she'll go to the legs. Everything with authority. Excellent cardio. This is probably Dogger Pass. This fight literally just got announced. There's no odds for it. If you look up Dog, D-A-W-G, Thayanara's face is all up in that bitch.
Yeah.
All up in the Websters. I mean, McCann, again, is probably the pick only because she's got more experience, but nah, fuck that. Yeah. Give me the debuting Thayanara here. She's a savage. I think this fight does not go the distance either way, but I think Thayanara in her debut in London is going to piss off a lot of Englanders. Is that what do people from England call themselves? British people.
Blokes.
She's gonna piss off a lot of blokes. Thayanara for the win.
Her only loss is to Bruna Brazil. Bruna Brazil just beat Molly McCann. If you watch that fight, Alexia was having big moments against Bruna Brazil. She lost to Bruna Brazil. It was her third MMA fight. She's had, 8 to 9 fights since then. She's more than improved. Her strength and conditioning is fantastic because you could see the evolution between that fight and her body. On top of that, she's fought as high as 135. She's gonna be the stronger girl, I feel, in there, even though Molly's moving down from 125 to 115. Molly's a sharper boxer, in my opinion, but the thing is, this girl is so fast and so explosive, and she has cardio for days. So even if Molly decides to try and engage with the wrestling with this girl, I don't think it's gonna be a great idea. And even in the Contender Series, she was going against a girl that was a Brazilian national champion and didn't want to wrestle her because they worked together previously in a training camp. And I'm assuming it's because she knew that girl does not get tired and is going to make her get tired before she gets tired. I think this is a tough fight for Molly. I think it's a tougher fight than the one that was originally booked. And I give Molly a lot of credit for accepting this fight and her team for just saying, yeah, we'll fight anybody.
And it's still at 115, by the way. And also, before I do forget, Alexia does leave her fucking chin all the way out there.
Correct.
All the way out there.
But to be fair, she's been hit before and she has a decent chin. Molly, I think, also has a decent chin, but you want the real, she's been chin checked a little more than Alexia at this point. I'm just not sure Molly's going to be able to deal with the swarm that's coming. And I feel like Alexia, when you're fighting Alexia, it's like it feels like you're fighting two girls at once. That's how much she's moving around and hitting you. And she throws with vicious intent, and she can throw with vicious intent for 3 rounds. Now, she's taking this fight on short notice. You might think her gas tank might be a little compromised. I think she's going to be in shape, but even 75% of this girl is going to be enough to go 3 rounds with Molly McCann, in my opinion, from a cardio standpoint. Maybe not from a skill standpoint, but at the end of the day, like when you see value like this and you know that she's going to bring the fight to Molly, I don't give a shit if it's in her backyard. There's a good chance that she might be able to stop Molly and make a statement win in this fight. Molly can also stop her too. I like the unders. Give me Alexia as the dog play and the lean here.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have the epidemic Yordan Buchenchik going one-on-one with the problem, Chris Duncan. Buchenchik is 13-3, fighting out of England, hailing from England, 29 years old. Duncan is 12-2 overall, fighting out of Scotland, hailing from Scotland, 31 years old. Probably the best fight on the card. Maybe, I mean, it's my sleeper fight. If people have been sleeping on it, don't. This is one to circle. This is one you don't really want to get up and hit the bathroom break for, you know what I'm saying?
People gonna bleed, it's gonna get cut open, and somebody might die.
I'm gonna be leaning Buchenchik here with the caveat of I do think this fight probably goes all 3. I think both men are capable of finishing each other. Pause. Buchenchik early, Duncan late. And I only say that because Buchenchik, he pushes such a high pace when it comes to the striking and particularly for the grappling. He can be a bit gassy in the 3rd round. Duncan, I know he's a little bit older. He might be a little bit slower in terms of the speed, but I do trust his IQ. He knows that if he gets hit, he's probably got the softer chin of the 2 gentlemen here, but he strikes me as just a smart fighter. He kind of knows what he's doing in there. He also hits hard, also has grappling, and I could see him, you know, pacing himself, maybe giving up the 1st round. If this fight goes to the 3rd round, I could see Buchenchik being a little bit on the gassy side and Duncan either kind of like not 10-8ing him, but definitely securing that round. I can see split decision. I can see this fight going a couple of ways, but give me Buchenchik here to at least bank the first 2 rounds and maybe even possibly finish Duncan. But It's a fight where, I mean, I'm not mad on what side wins or who wins here. I'm going to be here for a good time, not a long time. Give me Vucenic here for the win.
Yeah, I'm going to give Vucenic a little bit more grace because he did take the Guram fight on short notice because Guram was supposed to fight Al Sawadi and he fell out. So I'm going to give Vucenic a little bit of a pass, but I think Vucenic's got the better skills. I think he's light years better than Duncan on the feet. Duncan's real path to victory here is with the grappling, in my opinion. Unless he lands a big overhand, which he can do because he does crack and he is big for the weight class. I just don't see how he's going to be able to really hurt Vucenic unless he gets him to the floor and ground and pounds and or subs him. I like Vucenic here. I think he can bank 2 of the 3 rounds, and that's really what it is. I don't think the line is too off. They got him sitting at a minus 345 and Duncan at a plus 275. I'm not sure where Duncan's going to present real problems for Vucenic on the feet. Vucenic is very high level. Had his moments against Guram, who is light years of a better striker than Duncan. Duncan, I don't want to shit on him. I feel like, he is a decent fighter. I just feel like he has to get this fight to the floor, and Vucenic can wrestle. So for me, the lean is Vucenic. It's either going to be 3rd round of decision, in my opinion, but I would not be surprised if he got him out of there in the first 2 rounds. Makes this a little bit of a hard fight to cap, in my opinion. So it could go to decision. It could go under. That's why I don't know how I'm going to play it, but Vucenic is the lean. That I can assuredly say.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have the Trailblazer. Kevin Holland going one-on-one with Gunny. Gunny? Yeah, it's definitely Gunny. Gunnar Nelson. Holland, 26-13, fighting out of Fort Worth, Texas, 32 years old. Gunnar Nelson, 19-5-1, fighting out of Iceland, repping Iceland, 36 years old. Now, this fight stresses me out a little bit because on one hand, we got Kevin Holland, who is slowly becoming a 500 fighter in the UFC.
Which is sad.
It's sad because this guy's potential. He's got the goods, man, but like mentally, he just does not give a fuck. He literally just goes to fight to collect the check because he just enjoys fighting. I wish the man could focus up a bit more, aim for the title, have some kind of goals besides just like, making money, I guess. But I mean, listen, it ain't the worst way, but.
And arguing with Rampage on this podcast about 745s.
Trying to check Rampage about guns.
This is #1 bullshit.
It's crazy, bro.
And then on the other side, speaking of guns, we got Gunnar Nelson, who doesn't fight in the U.S. anymore. Don't know if it's a passport thing. Don't know if it's like he just doesn't want to travel. He'd rather just fight on his side of the pond. Very low volume. Not that good of a striker. Where he really shines is the submissions, is the grappling. This fight is going to be at 170. Kevin Holland is going to be moving down for the first time in a while. Can't make the weight. He's probably stronger here, but I don't trust his chin as much, but I don't think he's got to worry about that here with Gunnar Nelson.
I think he excels in this weight class.
I don't think this fight goes the distance. Either way, I think it's either going to be a Trailblazer knockout or a Gunnar submission. I do have a hard time picking who I think is going to win. Everything is telling me that Kevin Holland is probably the side here because he has decent grappling and probably could try to get a submission of his own here, but Gunnar Nelson by sub is probably the only way to play him from a betting perspective. Give me Kevin Holland here. Minimal confidence. I will be looking in terms of a bet and unders. Fights don't go and any kind of finishing props that stick out, but low confidence on the Trailblazer. Give me the Trailblazer. I might regret that one.
No, you shouldn't. And here's why you shouldn't, because I'm on the same side as you. And I'm on the same side as you, and he's a dog, by the way, which is interesting. Gunnar Nelson's not active enough for me, man. I'm sorry. Like, this guy is literally the definition of the Jeepers Creepers. Fights on one side of the world. Like the monster from Jeepers Creepers only hunts, like, in those fields, those crops, those places that have a lot of crops, so he can hide the bodies and act as a scarecrow.
He's like in middle America, right? Just in the middle of a whole bunch of fucking cornfields and shit.
Yeah, where no one gives a shit. You know what I'm saying?
Where people go to die.
Yeah, the only thing that's in Iceland is Gunnar Nelson and Thor, the mountain from Game of Thrones. And that's it, right? So for me, it's like he comes out every 23 years for 23 days to feed. This is a feeding process. I just don't feel like he's going to have too much success wrestling Kevin down. Kevin, not great of a wrestler, but I think he's big enough and strong enough to deal with Gunnar Nelson, who is not used to fighting actively. This dude fought like 4 weeks ago. He lost to Roman Dolidze and Rene the Ritter, who Rene the Ritter is a 205er.
Yeah.
Let's keep it 100. Roman's a huge 85er. Michael Page at 70 was his last loss at 70, but Michael Page is a wizard. And I think one of the more underrated guys at 70. And by the way, also a guy who just beat the Pirate at 85 and can fight at 85 because his striking is that elite. Went to a split decision not too long ago against Jack Della Maddalena, who's currently fighting for the championship.
Renamed Jack.
So for me, it's like the strength of competition is on the Kevin Holland side.
100%.
He's really only had bad success at 85. He lost to 2 striking specialists at 70 and Stephen Thompson and Michael Page, and then a title contender right now via split decision. The other guy, all his other losses are predominantly at 85. This is an easy play. I think this is dog or pass. I think this is a Kevin get back on the horse fight. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight ends in sub, and I could see Kevin Darson this dude too. Gunnar hasn't been sub before, but once again, inactivity and age, especially after getting hit, like club and sub is live here. I could see Kevin hurting him and him shooting, and then Kevin just rolling his neck up. Pause.
Yeah, well, for me, it's like I just have so much pause on the Kevin Holland side for like, because you brought up MVP, you know, striker, but at the same time was able to get him down. And at the same time, it's like I'm always constantly, especially lately, kind of questioning Kevin's heart. Like, is this man like, does he really want to fight, or is he just there to just make it a fight exciting, win or lose, doesn't give a fuck, give me the check, sign me up for the next fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, right,
but we also talking about the same MVP who's humongous for this weight class.
I understand that.
He's 6'3", 6'4". Gunnar Nelson, standing at maybe 6 feet? That's with shoes on, maybe? Gunnar's striking is like very Conor-esque, where he stands sideways. So I do know he can present some problems. The problem is, how is he? I question if he's going to be able to get his wrestling going here. Like, is the grappling, he's very good.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to get Kevin actively to the floor? And will he be able to cut through Kevin's guard the way like a René the Ritter did? But like I said, René the Ritter's a 205er. Roman Delite is huge and has fought at 205. If you can't bully Kevin, I'm not sure you can beat him.
I'm with you.
Unless you're way more technical than him everywhere.
Yeah.
And MVP, yeah, he's not a grappler, but him and Stephen Thompson are just specialists. They're just good at exposing people that fight like Kevin.
For me, I'm with you. I just think win or lose, this fight is probably going to tell me a lot about mentally
where he's at,
where he stands. 100%.
Yeah, that's why I'm leaning him. But I just don't know if he's going to get a play for me. That's the truth, because I don't have any interest in betting Kevin Holland fights unless I know for sure that the opposite party is going to whoop his ass. Like MVP. We made mad money that night on MVP because people just sleep on him. Like we did against, who else we faded Kevin against? No, we didn't fade him against JDM. He was a dog in that fight, but it went to split. But this is what I'm saying. We have a JDM who's fighting for the championship. We know JDM's not going to wrestle him. They stood up, and Kevin had his moments in that fight to the point where it got to split decision. If I'm looking at it through, looking at the trends here, I just feel like if you're not a bigger guy, you're not going to have your way with Kevin Holland. And Gunnar is not a bigger guy, and he's inactive. It's got to be the lean for Kevin Holland here. Am I going to play him? No. Probably not, to be frank. I think there's a lot of other good spots on this card to exploit. If you're asking me for a lean, I think Kevin has the goods to beat this guy. Give me Kevin Holland. Don't know how, but definitely a dog play here.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have the prospect, the quote-unquote prospect, Nathaniel Wood, going one-on-one with the last pirate, Morgan Charrier. Wood, pause, 20-6 overall, fighting out of England, hailing from England, 31 years old. Charrier, 20-10-1. Fighting out of France, hailing from France, 29 years old. As when it relates to this card, I think this fight in particular is probably going to be the chess match fight of the card. I think it's going to be a very good fight. It's going to be a very technical fight. This is another fight that I kind of have a hard time picking which side I think is going to win. Nathaniel Wood, I think he has the striking edge here, and I think I can see. Okay, let me start that over, because I do think this fight is going to go to distance no matter what. I don't think anybody's going to finish anybody here. This is going to go all 3 rounds. So, in terms of a bet, if the overs look wrong, take that. If fight looks wrong, take that. But I can see Nathaniel Wood winning a split decision here purely based on landing more damage, because I do think he hits hard. I do think his striking is better than Charrier's. The issue with Nathaniel Wood is a couple of things. He's got a suspect chin. This is not really his weight class, even though he's been having more success as of late in 145. He was originally a 135er, and he has a bit of a not wrestling deficiency, but if you're the bigger man, you can bully the man. Charrier, again, don't like calling him a journeyman. He's not. I think he's more than that now. He's really good, a bit of a jack of all trades. I think he can exploit the wrestling here. I do think he gets out volumed by Nathaniel, but I think he can hit just as hard.
Great fight.
It's a good fight that can go either way. In terms of a bet, If they're giving me split majority, I think I'm probably slamming that.
That's the play I'm looking at.
In terms of a play, I have to lean the guy with the wrestling, the guy who's a natural 145er, the guy who I think can control Nathaniel at least for periods of time in the match. My gut feeling says Wood is gonna win this by split for some fucking reason. But give me the grappling upside of Cherrier and what's gonna be, in my opinion, probably a fun technical fight to watch.
Yeah, I don't think Morgan's record reflects how good he is. No. That's one. Like, let's just get that out the way.
I agree.
He's impressed me every time he's gotten in there. Nathaniel Wood is a featherweight that should be fighting at bantamweight. I agree with you. I think the lean for me, and I'm going to keep it short because you pretty much caught everything in there. I think Morgan is the lean here, but as a play, I think split majority decision because I think this fight's going to be razor close. I really do. I think they're both going to have their moments. Nathaniel's got a good fucking chin. Morgan's got a good fucking chin. These boys are going to have a hard time catching each other, but then they're going to have easy moments where they catch each other. Like, that's how I look at this fight. And picking a side here is so difficult just simply because they're in Nathaniel Wood's backyard. Both these guys can exploit each other in different ways. Even if Morgan takes Nathaniel down, Nathaniel's no slouch off his back. Like, he's very good. This match is unplayable from it's a dog or pass spot, Nathaniel being the dog, but I don't have enough confidence that he's going to win this fight. I think Cherrier is going to be able to get his wrestling going and be able to keep Nathaniel at bay with some of his strikes while Nathaniel does the same. I do think like the play for this fight is just going to be split majority. I think that's how close this fight's going to be. So if it's a good number, like a plus 300 and up, I think it's something that's definitely going to be let out by this podcast for you guys to either tail or fade. So whatever you guys want to do. But we've been pretty spot on for the last couple of weeks. So I suggest you jump on the train.
Hey,
give me Morgan via decision here, man, but not with a high degree of confidence. Split majority is definitely the play here.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight and as currently constituted the co-main event of the evening, we have Jan Blachowicz going one-on-one with the Black Jag, Carlos Ulberg. Blachowicz is 29-10-1, fighting out of Poland, hailing from Poland, 42 years old. The Black Jag, Ulberg, is 11-1 overall, fighting out of Auckland, New Zealand, repping New Zealand, 34 years old. If this fight was made a couple of years ago, I think I'd probably be siding the Jan Blachowicz side. I still think Jan is going to put up listen, he's a solid veteran. He's going to put up a decent fight for Ulberg here. Ulberg, step up in competition. Blachowicz being one of two Polish fighters on this card. If you had to ask me which Polish fighter probably has the better chance of winning, I'd probably say Tybura. I just think Blachowicz, as good as he is, throws everything hard. And, he's coined the phrase Polish power. I just think the Black Jag here, Ulberg, a.k.a. Young Rock, a.k.a. Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. one of the sexiest men alive. Ayo, pause. I just think speed and precision is gonna get Jan here. I think it is. I think Jan, unfortunately, he's gonna look very good in the first round. Might try to shoot for a takedown, try to mix things up.
Might actually get one.
Yeah. If Ulberg can survive the onslaught early, I think Blachowicz is gonna gas. Unfortunately, he is a very unyoung 42 years old. And I think Ulberg, speed, power, precision, youth, I think he just gets it done. Give me Ulberg here for the win. I'm probably going to say by decision because, Jan is not the easiest guy to finish.
I agree.
I wouldn't be surprised at a late round finish. It's not our first encounter with Ulberg and fucking late round finishes.
Yep.
We had him for KO. Motherfucker went for a goddamn submission.
Choked his ass.
With like 10 seconds left in the fucking third round.
He tapped like a pussy.
Like a little bitch. But give me Ulberg here for the win. I think he is the side. And what's the Brock Lesnar phrase? Party's over, Grandpa.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel bad for Jan right now.
I do, man.
Because we're fans of him here.
He's a beast.
Yeah, you could argue he beat Alex Pereira. You can make a strong argument. I thought he beat Ankalaev.
My man's been robbed twice.
Yeah,
you can
it's
make the
tough sledding. I just feel like with this, like Carlos Ulberg, yeah, he's a style bender training partner, so you might say the wrestling, but Carlos is much bigger than Izzy. To be frank, Carlos knows how to manage distance well. Jan Blachowicz gasses. The Black Jag is not just another guy like Austin Lane.
Bars.
I feel like this is going to be a late round stoppage or decision for Carlos Ulberg. I think he's just going to be able to manage the distance better, keep him on the outside. He's going to be able to return kicks to the legs of Jan as well as to the body. Might even catch him with a high kick. Jan's so durable, I almost want to just commit to the decision, but he is 42 years old. Give me Carlos Ulberg here by third round. or late stoppage or decision rather. Not that play, not with a high degree of confidence, but Carlos Oberg for the pick with a pretty moderate to strong degree of confidence. Give me Carlos Oberg here.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight and as currently constituted, ladies and gentlemen, the main event of the evening for UFC London. We have Rocky Leon Edwards going one-on-one with Sean, no nickname Brady. Edwards, 22-4, fighting out of England, repping England, 33 years old. Sean Brady, 17-1 overall, fighting out of Philadelphia, Philly, the dirty Philly bastard himself, 32 years old. This is another fight. I think it's a good main event. I think Sean Brady has earned his way here. But, I mean, back and forth I go, looking at both these gentlemen here. Can Brady present enough problems, at least on the feet, for Leon to overload him, mix him up, and win? I don't think so. It's a conclusion I came to, I don't want to say unfortunately, but like, as much as I guess earlier on, and you know, probably previous podcast, taking a dump on Sean Brady, he has been getting better. He is a good fighter. In particular, he's a very good grappler. His striking has improved. I just think, and I know this is probably not the best breakdown, but I just think at the end of the day, Leon's just a better fighter. He's a better, complete overall fighter.
Correct.
Leon, what doesn't get talked about enough is his grappling. He does mix in a lot of grappling in a lot of his fights. He's also fought a slew of wrestlers as recent as Belal Muhammad, who he just dropped his belt to. What Belal was able to do good there was, you know, a combination of the striking and the grappling.
Correct.
I don't know if Sean Brady's striking is developed enough to like overload Leon. That's probably my biggest issue. I think he can take him down. He probably will be able to take him down. Maybe if Brady had better striking, I'd lean him here a little heavier. But Edwards is, again, fought so many fucking grapplers of late. I don't think he's better than Belal Brady. Just give me Edwards here. I think this fight probably does go to distance. This is going to go all 5 rounds. I don't think anybody finishes anybody. So overs are pretty good and safe in my opinion. Give me Leon here for the win. Give me Edwards here by decision.
Yeah, I'm not going to shit on Sean Brady like I've done on previous podcasts, and I think I've rightfully been hard on him. And it's not even just him. It's just the way the promotion was pushing him in a way a lot of the MMA incels were pushing him, to be frank, to be this spectacular fighter. They wanted to fade Belal. I made money on that fight because Belal was a dog and he beat the fuck out of him, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
This is a different fight, but I still have questions about Sean. Here's where I'll begin. I'm going to make this quick. His most recent run, a little bit prior to Belal as well as after, I still feel is a little fraudulent. And here's why. Fought Michael Chiesa to a decision. Everyone finishes Michael Chiesa, to be frank, at this weight class. Michael Chiesa also was able to win moments in that fight, and I think he took a round off of him. He couldn't get him down. He couldn't hold him down for long periods of time, at least not to my recollection, at least not long enough to sub him. Then he fights Gilbert Burns, who's washed. By the way, also a lightweight. Michael Chiesa, also a former lightweight that I don't really feel fully committed to 70. But I'm just going to leave that out there.
Bit of a weight bully.
Then Kelvin Gastelum, who was fighting at 85 for most of his career, never fought at 70 to really develop his wrestling against the elite wrestlers of the weight class, like the Robbie Lawlers, the Tyron Woodleys, the Colby Covingtons, the Kamaru Usmans. He was up fighting the strikers at 85. You're telling me he's beaten 3 guys, 2 who are undersized, and 1 that's not really as long as he should be in Kelvin Gastelum.
Also, arguably his most impressive win against Gastelum. But
correct, because he steamrolled him.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit.
He did.
And then not only did he steamroll him, you could argue he steamrolled a depleted version of Calvin because Calvin hasn't been able to make the weight since.
Surprised he's not even cut from UFC. I'm not going to lie to you.
So I'm not trying to call out Brady. I do think there are avenues for him to win this match with Leon.
I agree.
The problem is the line. I can't believe Leon's a dog here.
Yeah, that was probably the most surprising thing out of everything.
And I think Vegas and people who are betting against Leon are overvaluing what Belal did. You have to hope Brady can implement a game plan like that where he can overload. And that was a good breakdown by you, where he can overload Leon so much in the feet with volume and angles that the wrestling will just open up and he can get in easier on his legs. And you also have to hope that Brady can chain wrestle the way that Belal does. No disrespect to him. I don't think it's there. I think he's a better blast double guy. But Leon, knowing Leon, he's going to fight on the outside of the cage. He's going to make the cage his friend. He's going to use it to effectively stand up because he did it against Kobe, Kamaru, and Bilal, even though he lost that fight.
Yeah.
Leon, I'm going to guess, since he hasn't lost back-to-back fights ever in his career, is going to get up for this fight because he knows he's one win away from getting back into title contention. He looked like he was sleepwalking in that last fight against Bilal. He attributed it to the time difference, even though it was his country, which was a little bit of a bad excuse. I think he overlooked Bilal, to be frank, because if you look at how the first fight looked with him and Bilal, he was dog walking him.
He was until the eye poke.
Until the eye poke.
Yep.
For me, this is a little bit of a line incorrection, to be frank. I feel like this is a line that should be flipped. I feel like Leon should be minus 160. Sean should be plus 130.
Sean, by the way, I think has only been a dog once in his UFC career. He's been a favorite in almost every one of his fights. Yeah. And, you know, so far, it's been a good bet. But I agree with you. I just think the line probably should be flipped here.
It should be flipped. And if you gave me Sean at dog money, I think I'd be a little more tempted to play it just because Leon can get exploited. The only problem is we haven't seen Sean really pushed by a actual welterweight for 5 rounds.
And this is going to be the best striker he's faced outside of Gaslam.
Correct. And this is also going to be a guy who can physically match up to him.
Yes.
Sean is a humongous jacked human being. And I understand he went to decision with Craig Jones and won it. I get all that. The problem is this is MMA. And this is a guy, and it's exactly what I said about Kamaru, and it's exactly what I said about Kobe. Kamaru in particular, because I've been very hard on Kamaru throughout his career too. When these guys have a sizable, like they can impose their will on you because they're so much stronger than you, it looks easy to them. The minute they fight real welterweights, not 2 blown up 55ers, and not a guy who was probably compromised heading into that fight in Gaslam. The minute these guys fight real welterweights like Bilal, like Kobe, they meet conflict. How they react to that conflict is what I pay attention to. And when Sean couldn't get Bilal to the floor, he fucking panicked and he looked for the door low key, and then Bilal showed him the way out. Hard for me to bet on a guy like that against a guy that I think has better weapons than him. And I think Leon's an underrated wrestler and grappler. Does have decent shots. We went through a deep breakdown of some of the second fight between Kamaru and Leon. Leon had an underhook, and if he got the knee tap and there wasn't a cage there, that would have been an easy takedown for Leon on Kamaru Usman. For me, I feel like Leon can definitely win some of the grappling exchanges here. And I think that him being at dog money, I understand his last performance. It's a travesty. It's a system play just for that standpoint. Will I bet it? I don't know. Because I do feel like Brady does have an avenue to win here.
100%.
He does, because he is going still against a predominant striker who has added wrestling to his game. But to my brother's point, Leon has shown massive improvement in his wrestling and his grappling. Massive. And even if Sean does get him down, is he going to be able to hold him down, especially if it's against the cage? I don't know if Sean's going to be able to advance position as easily as he did against some of the smaller competition that he's faced. I'm sorry. And some of the guys that are just inept on the floor and haven't really got their grappling along, because Calvin Gaslam was, once again, I think, a national champion in wrestling. No one's pushed him at 85 to use his wrestling. So now, as if he would have stood at 70, he would have vast improvements in his wrestling. 85, he's not going to get that same look, those same looks. This is going to be the first complete fighter he's fought that's actually physically big for the weight class at welterweight like he is. And to be frank, Leon could fight at 85. That's how big he is.
Yeah, he's a large human being.
Pause. So, me and you both.
Yeah.
So with that said, I got to go Leon at dog money here, man. Am I going to play it? Not sure. Leon's the lean, for sure. We'll see close to the fight time. Follow us on all social media platforms for that bet.
And that does it for our UFC/MMA coverage of the podcast. So we're going to slide right along into boxing, right along into a PBC on Prime main event. Sebastian Fundora going one-on-one with Cordell Booker for the WBC World and WBO World Super Welterweight title. Fundora, the Towering Inferno is his nickname. 21-1-1. The champion, fighting out of Coachella, California, 27 years old. The challenger, Cordell Booker, the gift. 23-1. Fighting out of Stamford, Connecticut, 33 years old.
Yeah, this is the first fight we covered, even though it's arguably the biggest fight of the weekend. And the reason why we're covering it first is because I think Sebastian Fundora is going to put an ass whooping on this boy. I think Cordell, kind of like a seasoned journeyman, even though he has one loss. Plotter, moves slow in my opinion. Not the fastest hands. Hits very hard. I'll give him that much. But I just feel like this is a bad stylistic matchup for him. Fundora can fight him on the inside and fight him on the outside. And Fundora has been more prone to fighting on the outside as of late. And if Fundora fights him big, it's going to be an easy decision. Not even an easy decision. It's going to be an easy path to victory for him. I think he might knock him out. Maybe mid to late rounds in this fight. I feel like Cordell hasn't experienced anything like Fundora. Fundora is humongous for the weight class, throws a ton of volume, knows how to beat you up on the inside, as I mentioned. I just feel like Cordell just doesn't have the tools to get his shots from point A to point B. He doesn't have the fast, efficient footwork. He doesn't have the fast hands. He doesn't wow you with anything. The only thing he really wows you with is power. And Fundora has a good chin. And Fundora is not going to be there to get hit, especially since he's taken this new approach after getting knocked out in one of his previous bouts. For me, this is Fundora all the way, mid to late round stoppage.
And going from PBC to Matchroom, going from Vegas to Sydney, Australia, we have a main event and co-main event we're going to be breaking down. We'll start with the co-main event for the WBC World Female Featherweight title. We have the champion, Sky Nicolson, going one-on-one with Tiara Brown. Nicolson is 12-0 perfect. The champion fighting out of Australia, repping Australia, 29 years old. Tiara Brown, the challenger, perfect, 18-0. Fighting out of Washington, D.C., 36 years old.
Before I jump into this co-main event, I want to preface all this by saying that this card might have two live dogs that we're probably going to play. If it's not both of them, it's going to be one of them in the co-main and the main event. We'll start with the co-main since we're here, with Sky Nicolson and Tiara Brown. Sky Nicolson, 12-0, if I'm correct. One knockout. Doesn't have a ton of power. You know what she's going to do. She's going to stay on the outside. Very light on her feet. Very good at staying on the outside. Knows how to use the jab. Knows how to circle. Very good footwork. Also dating Eddie Hearn. Respect all.
Oh.
Respect all.
Eddie Hearn.
Respect Eddie Hearn. You had De La Hoya slamming him the other day for dating one of his fighters. But, listen, their private life is their private life. It's not affecting her boxing skills. She's very good.
I mean, De La Hoya's one to speak, man, but we'll leave that for another day.
With that said, Sky Nicolson is a minus 800, which coming from her opponent, I think this line is completely wrong. We have Tiara Brown, 18-0 with 11 knockouts. She's coming back at a plus 470 in this fight. And I'm going to tell you why this plus 470 warrants a dog shot. This is the best fighter either fighter has fought.
100%. On paper, both of them. Yep.
Sky Nicolson hasn't fought a girl that effectively uses the jab. Tiara Brown uses the jab very effectively to the body and to the head. Tiara Brown, very big for the division. Decent footwork for the division. Knows how to cut off the ring as well. Good power for the division. 11 knockouts. She finishes more than 50% clip in this division. Sky Nicolson is not going to be able to hurt this girl. She's not going to be able to stop this girl. If you're betting Sky, it's got to be by decision, which is probably going to be minus money. I just think that this fight has split majority written all over it. And one of the underlying points of this card, even though it is in Sky's backyard, Australian judging, to its credit, is very fair to both fighters.
They are. They're a very fair group of judges.
Yeah, their commission is very good. So I don't think they're going to do Sky any favors unless there's some obvious robbery here. But
Eddie Hearn.
Yeah. Which I just don't see it because Eddie doesn't control the commission. But what I will say is that the commission also does kind of go based on who brings the most money sometimes. We talked about this last night. Pause.
Yep.
I just feel like Tiara Brown's going to present a lot more problems to Sky than Sky is either intending or that she's even seen, to be frank. I think Sky knows this is going to be a tough fight, but the thing is, Tiara is just going to be able to walk through certain punches. She moves her head very well. She knows how to land punches while moving her head. She has amateur experience against Michaela Mayer. She's fought some notable names on the amateur scene. This girl is nothing to sneeze at. I just think at plus 470, it's a little insane. On the other side, Tiara hasn't fought anyone that moves like Sky Nicolson.
No.
Sky knows how to stay on the outside. We're just going to be able to see in this fight, both of these girls get out of second gear. These girls have not been pushed out of second gear by any girl in this division. They are going to get it out of each other.
Hopefully. I'm expecting this fight to be interesting, for sure.
Yeah, but this fight has split majority written all over it. I hope that this is something we can play, especially if it's a juice number. But I think at plus 470, it intends or it suggests that Tiara's going to get dog walked.
And I think the number is going up.
Yeah, which is insane to me.
So if you like the Tiara side, hold until fight night, because I do think I mean, she did open up around +3, around that area. Currently now sitting almost +5. I mean, that Sky Nick, like, I get why Sky is the favorite. Again, I could see Tiara having a long night chasing this woman because of the footwork, because of the counter punching. She's definitely going to be the most technical woman she's fought. So I understand, when sometimes you go technique over brawler, right? When things are all even. But we don't know if things are all even here because, again, Sky, to your credit, to what you brought up earlier, hasn't fought a fighter like Brown.
Yeah, and the thing is, she's also been a bit spoon-fed, to Tiara's point. No disrespect to Sky. She hasn't fought anyone that's remotely, like, better than good.
Yeah.
She's fought a lot of okay fighters. Tiara, I think, has fought some decent fighters, and she's stopped some decent fighters impressively. So for me, it's like, I just feel like when the fight, I think, skill-wise is this close, you got to lean the dog. I just did not expect this line to open up at +470. And when I see this line, it just jumps off the page for me because, quite frankly, I think Tiara is going to be able to answer some of the questions that Sky is going to present to her. And that part, I think Sky's also going to have to level up and show a different part of her game to deal with Tiara. The thing is, I worry about Sky in this fight because I don't think she's going to be able to hurt Tiara. She's a sharp puncher. She's not a knockout puncher. And she doesn't stay in the pocket long enough to land damage to get a knockout or to really substantially hurt her opponent. Tiara will sit in the pocket after slipping your punch. And the other thing that Tiara does when you're fighting a runner, like a girl who knows how to fight on the outside, like Sky, you got to do two things. You have to jab and you have to go to the body. Tiara does both. Give me Sky Nicolson by decision here. Not with a high degree of confidence. A possible dog play coming as the bet on Tiara Brown, as well as a possible play on split majority, because I think this fight's going to be that close or has the capability of being that close, depending on how the line is.
Yeah.
But give me Tiara Brown as a possible dog play this weekend. Follow us on all social media platforms as usual.
And moving right along from the co-main to the main event, we have George Kambosos Jr. Ferocious Kambosos. Kambosos, you hear me? Kambozo.
Mm-hmm.
Kambosos. I'm disrespecting the man already. I apologize. But he's going one-on-one with Yordan, right? That's how you say his name?
Dodd.
Dodd?
I think so.
Dodd Yordan. Kambosos is 21-3. Fighting out of Australia, hailing from Australia, 31 years old. Yordan, 43-4. Fight out of Indonesia. Coming from Indonesia, 38 years old.
Put your body in a seizure.
Ooh. You picked it up. Baby.
So we have Kambosos here fighting on his home soil once again. This is another fight where the line, I think, is outrageous. They have Kambosos sitting at a -1600. In what world against any opponent should George Kambosos be sitting at a -1600? Against a scrub, maybe. The problem is, Yordan, I don't see him as a scrub. This guy is a 20-year vet. He has fights that you can see on YouTube from HBO that are in 320p.
Damn, that man is old.
Yeah, some fucked up pixels in those videos.
Flip phone quality.
With that said, this guy has 43 wins, 31 of those by knockout. This dude is on a 5-fight win streak. Against who? Not the highest degree of competition. That's okay. The thing is, though, George Kambosos has also lost 3 of his last 4. 2 of them to Devin Haney, 1 of them to Lomachenko, and then he beat Teofimo Lopez before that. George Kambosos, he has the routes to win this fight. He is a very crafty boxer from the outside. The Teofimo Lopez fight showed that, but Teofimo Lopez also came in extremely compromised to that fight.
Maybe a little too overconfident as well.
A little too overconfident as well. He's going against a guy that I think knows how to get his punches from A to B better than Teofimo. Hits as hard as Teofimo. Is a little more defensively responsible in certain spots than Teofimo. Knows how to roll his punches and also has a better chin arguably than Teofimo. Even after 20 years of fighting. I was watching the tape of this guy last night with my brother.
Yeah.
Pause.
Ayo.
His hand speed is still there. His punching power is still there.
The only negative that we can see from this man thus far, well, maybe not the only negative, but the glaring negative, right? Is that the man is old.
Yeah, he's 37 years old.
Yeah.
A 20-year career. The thing is, though, the last time he got stopped was in 2013, which is 12 years ago.
The Wayback Machine.
Now, George Kambosos is not a finisher. Everyone that he's finished doesn't have a Wikipedia page. I'm just going to keep it real. He should be able to point Yordan here. But my thing is the degree of danger he's going to be in for 36 minutes against this guy at plus 800. The line makes no sense to me. This is a step down in competition from him, from Lomachenko, Devin Haney, and Teofimo, but it's a step up relative to everyone else that he beat before those guys.
A middle of a pack kind of fight for him, for sure.
Yeah, this is a good fight for George Kambosos because I feel like this is a fight that makes sense for him, if that makes sense.
This is a fight he probably should win as well.
He's not going to be overmatched in there.
Understandably the favorite. Now,
Yes.
what we have the issue is the how wide it is.
Pause.
Hey, yo.
God damn. But yeah, the line makes no sense. This is a guy who I think in his prime would have beaten George, in my opinion. This is a guy who fought Robert the Ghost Guerrero when Robert the Ghost Guerrero was still Robert the Ghost of Guerrero, right?
He wasn't the ghost of Robert Guerrero.
Yeah.
He was Robert the Ghost Guerrero.
Yeah, he was the ghost that was haunting motherfuckers. The ghost that we seen fight Floyd Mayweather was shot.
Now he was an actual ghost.
Yeah, he was a ghost that was no longer a violent ghost.
He was the remnants.
Yes, the remnants of the ghost.
The spirit.
That fight ended in the second round because of a head clash cut, but you want the real. I thought Yordan won the first round. I don't think Yordan has a lot of bodies on his resume, that are like notable. Because I do think he is a tough matchup on any given night for anybody that chooses to fight him. And if you look at his fighting style, how explosive he was in his prime, he was a nightmare. He was like Gamboa, but with less skill. And if you know who Gamboa is, you know what I'm talking about. Yordan presents a lot of problems in this fight for George, because George is not the biggest puncher. And I have a hard time believing he's going to be able to keep Yordan off of him the whole night. Pause. Damn. Damn, this fight is crazy. I feel like I don't know if he's going to be able to hurt him. And if he's not going to be able to hurt him, and this guy is still a zombie after a 20-year career, can take a good shot and rolls with punches and has a decently good high guard. If you're not volume punching him to distort his looks so he blocks incorrectly, you're not going to nail him with one good power shot. Pause. It's crazy. And if you do, are you going to drop him and hurt him and then finish him? Doubt. You know what I'm saying? I wish we had a doubt button here.
Doubt.
I just think at the plus 800 line, it warrants a dog play. And if you understand anything about boxing and space and a guy that has experience still with decent hand speed and punching power, it's like, this is a dangerous fight for Kambosos, especially after getting stopped by Lomachenko. And to conclude my point, how did Lomachenko beat Kambosos the last fight? It was not only effective footwork, it was body shots. Yordan is very good at throwing body shots. This is a winnable fight for Yordan. And listen, if the line made more sense, I'd probably play Kambosos by decision because I think Kambosos does have a route to victory here by keeping him on the outside. He is very crafty from the outside, does switch stances that time. He did in the Devin Haney fight. Can distort, very good at going to the body, very good at angling and staying safe from punches, and a dog too. So this fight has all the makings of being essentially a war. I just feel like this is a guy that he shouldn't be going to war with because Yordan can find his moment and land a big shot. Give me Kambosos by decision here, like Sky Nicolson, but with the line, I feel like it doesn't make sense. So expect a half unit to unit play on not only Tiara Brown this weekend, but also Yordan, because I feel like there are exploitable features in this fight for Yordan to win. Give me Kambosos the lean via decision, Yordan as the possible dog play.
And that does it for our combat coverage for this episode. But without further ado, my brother, take us home.
You already know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying this portion of the podcast, the visual portion of the podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know. Episode 92 in the books. Love you guys. Holla at you guys. Keep the subs coming, man. We're getting mad love. We've been tracking very well lately. Just keep it coming.
Also, side note, love all the comments. And I know we didn't cover every particular fight, but you know, we did have a little fun responding to some comments
and giving you plays on those comments, by the way.
Yeah, I know we didn't mention Jesus Ramos, for instance. We didn't mention Elijah Garcia. If you guys want, you know, drop a little comment. Let us know if you want that breakdown, and you know, we'll cook up a little couple sentence paragraph breakdown on how we feel overall on the fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, just like we did with Taraji last week. And that one hit. So
KO, baby.
you already know the deal, guys. Take it easy. See you guys next week for episode 93. Love you guys. Keep all the love coming. See ya.